On the immigration ad hoc report that you've done. As LA is a city of sanctuary, the commission has responsibility to enable local laws to go above the minimum of SB 54 to protect our immigrant community. Recommendation number 1 states that LASD should not provide ICE with more information than it provides to the public, etc., etc. The recommendation needs to be strengthened. Currently, release dates are provided on a public database and the information is used by ICE. The release date should not be shared with the public. LASD should revert to their pre-2017 policy of making release information available only to the inmate, their family, and lawyer. Here's a good example. Here's a good SB 50, for example, from San Francisco, which incidentally is my hometown. From January to May 1st, 2018, ICE had asked for notifications on 400 immigrant inmates, and none were responded with release dates, as San Francisco would not share the data. In LA, the vast majority of individuals released from county jail and deported by ICE are for low-level, non-violent crimes. These are not dangerous criminals being released into the community, and they have already served their time. Just as in San Francisco, the release date should not be shared with the public. In summary, the Commission needs to push for our local laws that go more than the minimum SB 54, and one way is not to share data with ICE.
Thank you.
Carrie Kaiser, followed by Yvonne Beck, followed by Grace Siska.
This is unreal.
Regarding Commissioner Bonner's letter that opposes several of the recommendations from the Immigration Ad Hoc Committee, in justifying his opposition, I found that Commissioner Bonner is using the same scare tactics employed by Jim McDonnell. For example, while Bonner specifies rape as one of the serious or violent felonies someone could commit and still, quote, walk right out of jail and back into our community, he fails to mention that according to the Sheriff's Department in 2016, for example, less than 0.4% of all transfers were for a rape conviction. The reality is in Los Angeles in 2017, reports of sexual assault among Latinos dropped by 25% and reports of domestic violence dropped by 10%. Declines that former LAPD Chief Beck said were due to fear of the federal government.
Oh my God.
So if we're truly concerned about sexual assaulters walking around in our communities and with protecting victims and potential victims from assault, then our focus should be on creating a strong separation between ICE and the LA Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. Yvonne Beck, followed by Grace Siska, followed by Michael Greer.
Well, here it goes. It's extremely depressing to see and listen to large-voted politicians sitting in their extra-large chairs, pontificating their woke spill of baloney, poppycock, and tripe. It's so damn pathetic. I do hope and pray that these arrogant blowhards are punished for the advocating and aiding and abetting hordes of illegal aliens that bring their crimes to our sovereign borders and our great nation. Support ICE. A day of reckoning draws nigh. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Greg Siska, followed by Michael Greer, followed by Deborah Fowler.
Thank you again, Mr. Vanel. I'm sorry I ruined your name, that you made it here today. Because I think it's important that you keep some kind of impact from the other side. We want safety. I don't think your progressive impact of taking ICE out of the jails is making us safe. According to the Sheriff's Association, they too agree that taking ICE out of the jails does not keep us safe. So I appreciate you considering that. We'll be here every meeting to comment on this. We made a special trip for the ad hoc committee. I know 3 people who had our view that not to implement SB 54. At the ad hoc committee, I showed up special. That was back in November or whenever it was. And for 7 meetings, I've asked you all to kick SB 54 to the curb and to disband the ad hoc committee. But y'all are just ignoring me. And tyranny can only progress forward when good men do nothing. Well, Mr. Bonner, for a long time, you did nothing. Now we have a good woman in charge, and she gets the same responsibility. Tyranny can only move forward when good men, and in this case, good women, do nothing. I'm asking you to do something.
Thank you. Michael Greer, followed by Deborah Fogg, followed by Carolina Goodman.
Sheriff, it isn't your job to find a balance between the two sides. It's your job to enforce the law.
Yes.
You took an oath of office to do that. Commissioner Bonner, I really appreciate your words. I appreciate your letter. It's very nice to know that there's someone on this commission who is clear-headed about the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah Fogg, followed by Carolina Goodman, followed by Robin Vidston.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Sheriff Villanueva, it's nice to see you in person. I also voted for you, and I'm glad that I did. However, I have been very concerned about some of the actions that you've taken in office and some of the things that you said this morning. When you say that you are doing everything in your power to build trust and reduce the number of victims in the community, I don't actually see it that way. And in that, I believe that we are putting people in greater danger by giving them the sense that they are now safer from ICE and federal immigration in our jails, when in fact, according to several people, including Under Sheriff Deva when he was here last month, nothing has really changed as far as how immigrants are treated coming out of the jails. The idea that the optics are what matters, I don't entirely buy, and I'm very concerned that that's the choice that you've chosen to make rather than to actually do something that would earn the trust of the community as opposed to just show them that we are theoretically trustworthy. I also don't think that we have to is a good answer when it comes to keeping the website public. Obviously, as Rose said, there were ways of dealing with informing family members and lawyers of inmates imminent release before the website went public, and so there should be ways of doing that now. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina Goodman, followed by Robin Vidston, followed by Dorothy Moore.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Carolina Goodman with the League of Women Voters of Los Angeles. We strongly supported SB 54, and we understand that under SB 54, transfers are discretionary, not required. I appreciate Sheriff saying that immigration enforcement is the federal government's role, and it is not the job of LASD to voluntarily assist ICE in any way. That means that voluntary sharing of information with ICE must stop. Release dates should be made available only to inmates, their families, and counsel, unless there's a federal warrant. That also means that LASD must stop participating with ICE in joint task forces that involve immigration enforcement. All individuals who have served their sentences, I want to underscore all individuals who have served their sentences have an opportunity to become productive members of their communities.
And they should be in their own countries.
The Los Angeles community expects you, Sheriff, to focus on public safety and leave immigration enforcement to ICE. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin Vidston, followed by Dorothy Moore, followed by Scott Doyle.
Robin has left.
Dorothy Moore, followed by Scott Doyle, followed by Paul Sugg.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Moore from the South Bay, and I'm a physician, and I'm very grateful for the ad hoc committee's efforts. I previously testified to you about the permanent harmful effects of ICE detentions on U.S. citizens and their families and what happens to the children. I told you about my neighbors' and friends' experiences with ICE. Now we have the ripple effects. My neighbors don't even want our information on their cell phones. They're afraid of having their citizenships, hard-fought, being taken away. They live in fear. I mean, look at me. I have no worries about walking down my street without papers or a passport, but that's not true of everyone.
How do you know that?
I'm not worried about my citizenship being taken away. And when I testified, I previously represented about 1,600 people in 3 indivisible groups. Our numbers have grown to now 2,250 voters who want no ICE involvement. I'm also here for those that are too afraid to speak. So I wasn't surprised by the election results. We want no involvement with ICE. We want the police and sheriff's departments to have the trust of the community again. And we support the committee's recommendations, but aware of politispeak and the qualifying of uniformed ICE. So we are aware and we support the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott Doyle, followed by Paul Self, followed by Raul Rodriguez.
Good morning. On the one hand, I'm a little frustrated that this issue keeps getting kicked down the road, but I also understand that you've been juggling a lot of other issues and appreciate Commissioner Olson's comment regarding urgency. I don't wish to rehash those other issues that have been occupying your time, but at an earlier meeting, the sheriff raised the specter with regard to deputy discipline of a kangaroo court, and I'd like to offer that as a way of looking at the transfer issue. This may be a little bit of a stretch, but I don't think too much to describe the process whereby undocumented immigrants and non-citizens who have served their time are, without even given a chance to take a breath of free air, immediately transferred to ICE, and then likely on to some facility like Atalanta. With this kangaroo court, the judge and jury are faceless and hidden behind bureaucratic procedure, but that doesn't change the reality of the consequences. Transfer sounds like a neat and painless word, but it can't hide the fact that this amounts to a second sentence, one without due process, one that in some cases translates into a death sentence. And as other people have commented, I don't think LASD should be in the business of facilitating that second sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Self, followed by Raul Rodriguez Jr., followed by Joan Willis.
Thank you. They're all gone. Jeez. All right.
It's very traumatic hearing all this stuff. Just because of my own personal experiences, many of you know about me, but also because of the families that I support every day that call me and say what's going on, people that want to know. I do so much of this work, I get calls from out of state, families are reaching out and asking, what can we do over here? They've taken my husband, I can't pay a bill this month, we're about to be houseless, because I picked them up from the jail, etc. So these are complex questions, a lot of things to think about. But just a couple of comments in terms of detainers. You know, I've seen those things. They're just pieces of paper signed by an ICE agent. They don't have any judge's signature on them. They're not valid. And people are not lawfully detained beyond the time of their release. So detainers hold no legal merit. They're just a formality of all things. And as Scott was saying, transfers sounds nice. We transfer money from bank account to bank account. But when we transfer people, that's a more complex issue. And so I just want to encourage us to really think about the consequences of what happens when that occurs, the perceptions within the community, and even in terms of using contractors, the folks in G4S, that just gives community the perception that there's still stuff going on with ICE and people are still getting reported via the sheriff's department. So for them, perception is reality.
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back to for the rest of the people who are want to give some testimony, and then we have 2 really good items still to go. So back in 10 minutes.